there are some things that we want to be able to do that only cloud can allow us to do. We're doing some interesting work in our geospatial teams at the moment where one of the big costs for us is drilling holes, understanding what's in those holes, logging the cores, using that to build a digital twin, a model of what's under the ground. It's not much different to weather forecasting, trying to work out what it is you're looking at under the ground. The ability to leverage cloud computing means we can do modelling much faster, whereas previously we used to run advanced models over this information. They'd take a couple of days. You might be able to run 3 or 4 at a time. We can now run them in about half an hour, and so in the same time as we might run a half a dozen, we can now run a couple of hundred, which means you can do much better scenario planning around what your development pathways are going to look like for an operation. So that's a new opportunity for us. One of the challenges, I think, is that cloud presents opportunities for others that we've taken for granted over time. So one of the barriers to entry in our business had been to operate at scale and operate in different countries. You need ERPs and payroll, and you need a lot of technical infrastructure. And now the junior entrants can do all of that through cloud platforms. So there's an opportunity that hasn't existed in the past for them to move into our space. And we need to be able to stay nimble and be able to outpace them. That's a new development for us. It's presented by cloud. I think we have the same experience around our supplier base, that as you invest in analytics and as you try new things in the cloud and work with the supplier base, they look across different industries. They have huge teams that do this work, and they present really interesting ideas to you. Some different approaches to things that we want to try. Sometimes we get ideas that we've not considered before through our supplier base, and that's new to us. That really hasn't existed in the historical supply chain for companies like ours.
I think that's the next evolution of digital transformation, if you like. I mean, people are still talking about digital transformation. I think it's now digital enablement. Most people have transformed. How do they now create an organisation? How do we now create an organisation that enables us to stay on top of all of these advances that are coming from our suppliers? Whether we're using the suppliers' platform or whether we're using their services.
It's creating it. So in a way, then your businesses are creating those pop-up challenges, the way that, as you say, an entrant could. You can go, let's try this, let's spin a business up and see how that scenario works. Is that a possible solution?
Yeah, I mean, we're a small company, but there are smaller companies that are coming, and because of that, they're going to come in and they're going to come in with new ideas, and they're going to be challenging us. And even though we're at the forefront, and it's being aware and able to react and respond to that very, very quickly, without going and buying them all, which is also a solution, I guess.
Absolutely. I think to be able to sift through what's going to work and what isn't.
Yeah.
All sorts of ideas come through your supply chain. And some of them are great ideas and a lot of them aren't. And just being able to quickly work through that process of what's a good fit, if it is a good fit, how do you industrialise that concept and get it out there? I think that's the challenge for all of us, developing organisations that can engage with supply chain, understand the competitive landscape, understand what those opportunities are. Not everybody's cut out for that, and I think that's an area we wrestle with, particularly given the geographic complexity of what we're trying to achieve.
And you mentioned how your geospatial teams have grasped cloud and are doing some really innovative things. How do you use that to sort of seed cloud further into the organisation, to demonstrate its value, to help the organisation migrate to those parts of the business that may not have even thought about whether cloud could offer them some value? I
think it's a great question. Success builds on itself, and there's nothing like a good success story. So in this particular case, we've always known that hyperscale computing out there in the cloud has been a big opportunity for us. Anytime you're doing any modelling or any computational intensive operations, that is just going to make things faster. And that's one of the areas where I think all heavy industry has been quite slow on the uptake, understanding what the opportunity is. Once you get a few success stories in, then those teams will go and evangelise for you. So rather than saying, I'm an IT guy, here's a new technology, here is what we can do in the heart of your business process, having it work the other way around. We've found some opportunities. There must be others out there, and these teams go talking and engaging with the rest of the business on the opportunities they've found. That's been our experience.
So do you have the challenge of shadow IT groups going and starting up their own little cloud initiatives that you have to then deal with?
A little bit. I mentioned that we're in a mixed model, so in some areas everything's centralised, in some areas it's not. I think shadow IT is a challenge for all companies. Basically, we're a company of engineers and people are just trying to get things done. Sometimes they're technology solutions and sometimes they're IT. So that really comes down to the engagement model. I think the key is engaging them, understanding what they're trying to do, what we can bring to the party. But from my perspective, shadow IT is just fine as long as everybody understands the things that are really non-negotiable. Application platforms, the suppliers that you're working with. We've got an all-in bet on data analytics. It's one of the big opportunities for us. And we come from a place where we don't have a data lake. We want to build exactly one data lake, so we can't have everybody going out there and doing their own thing. We need to do that in a really prescribed format and make sure that we populate that thing only once. So we're perfectly happy for people to operate in the periphery and try and do different things with different technologies as long as they understand what the rules of the road are. But I think everybody struggles with mixed delivery models.